Okay, good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to the second day of the debates Moot mock bootcamp of the Honorable Justice Innocent Umezulike Foundation. I like the fact that, and I'm taking note of those that came early. It's actually commendable. The early attendees, please keep it up. So this is day 2. I trust that you benefited a whole lot from day 1, where we learned about mastering persuasion and case analysis, case or debate analysis, research and writing. So today would be another beautiful ride, learning about cross-examination and rebuttal tactics, as well as public speaking. So very briefly, I'll just do an introduction of the foundation that is organizing this bootcamp. Then once the facilitator joins, we go straight into the class. Okay, about the foundation. Honorable Justice Innocent Umezulike Foundation is a foundation that was formed, is an international non-governmental organization formed to honor the legacy of late Honorable Justice Innocent Umezulike, who at the time of his death was an acclaimed professor of land and property law. He authored over 25 books and served as Chief Judge of Enugu State, clinching the longest serving Chief Judge in southern Nigeria. The foundation delivers its mission through the promotion of excellent legal education, research, and charity initiatives. Some of our facilities and programs include the Law Library, Legal Research Center, annual lectures, workshops, seminars, educational grants, and funding. About the Moot Mock and Debate Bootcamp 2024, it is an extensive program designed to cultivate the next generation of advocates and orators. This bootcamp serves as a beacon of opportunity and learning, aiming to foster critical thinking, articulate expression, and persuasive communication skills among students from diverse academic backgrounds. Throughout this journey, facilitated by seasoned mentors and experts in the field, you will find a unique platform to not only enhance your skills, but also to forge connections with like-minded peers who share a passion for debate and advocacy. The HJIUF Moot and Debate Bootcamp signifies more than just a training program. It represents a commitment to excellence and a dedication to empowering the youth with the tools and techniques necessary to excel in the arts of persuasion and communication. As you embark on this transformative journey, envision yourself not only as a proficient debater, but also as an articulate voice capable of shaping dialogues and effecting change in your community. Approach each session with an open mind, actively participate in the discussions, and embrace the interactive learning experience. This collaborative journey of discovery and growth holds immense potential for each of you. Once again, I heartily welcome every one of you to the HJIUF Moot and Debate Bootcamp, where the seeds of advocacy and oratory are sown for a brighter future. So for today, I will want to hand over the virtual microphone to the second facilitator, Mr. Daniel Oladoja. Daniel, you can have the floor. Thank you. With a virtual applause, let's welcome him as he handles the topic, public speaking. Daniel, you're welcome. See excitement.
Okay. Hi. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Well done. Yeah, so how's it been? How's it been? Tell me, how's it been? Let's start with that. How's it been? You've had like two sessions, no, 2 days. So how's it been? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. How has it been? How's the last 2 days been for you? Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I've seen the welcome. Now tell me how it's been for you. Let's go, let's go. Feedback is very important. Yeah, you need a good speaker needs feedback, right? Every good speaker needs feedback. So tell me, how has it been for you? Have there been speakers you feel like you want to punch in the face, or speakers you feel like you're not feeling them? Yeah, be honest though. If there was any session you just feel like you want to slap the person, let me know. I can give you skills to do that. You can slap people virtually. You can even mute their mic if you're angry. So anyway, okay, someone said not yet. That means you guys are very nice people. You've not felt like slapping your facilitators. Well, maybe the facilitators have been very nice people too. Great. It's been great. I spent the last 24 hours thinking about the bashing you gave me. Who did I bash? What happened? Hope you don't feel like taking this out. Tell me what. Tell me. Let's talk about it. Janet, turn on your mic. Let me hear your voice. Let's talk. Let's settle this thing. Let's find a way to settle. Turn on your mic. Let me hear you. Let me hear you.
No, it's been good. It's been good. It just got me thinking, but it was good.
No, you mentioned the bashing. Remind me of the bashing.
It was about the EBA, where I said light the fire and put on your pot, and you were like, "Mom, I light the fire," when I hadn't gotten my pot. But my pot was beside me already. That's why. So it was just striking. But it's been good.
Great. This guy is a politician. This Michael is a very politician. He's a politician. He's trying to whine me. He's trying to do that thing that Nigerians do. You know, they just put your name in something. It's not gonna work. Okay, but thank you all the way. Okay, yeah, her pot was beside her. In life where your pot is beside you as a student. If your pot is not beside you, we should investigate you. You're a criminal. How are you able to afford a hostel where you have a separate kitchen? No. But man, I'm setting myself up because as a student, my hostel, we had a kitchen. Oh, so scratch that. I didn't say that. No need to investigate anybody. Because there were some of us that had, these apartments where you had kitchen separately and your bedroom separately, and then you had your living. So no need to investigate anybody. Otherwise, they will put me on as number 1 on the list. Great. And this is me trying to be as very practical as possible, because I'll tell you the number 1 rule of public speaking is, so when I meet people who tell me I'm scared, I don't know how to speak in public, I usually tell them they are lying, right? Because there is really no difference between public speaking and speaking one-on-one. And I'll explain. So we're having a conversation here. If you as a human being can speak to 1 or 2 people personally, one-on-one, then you can speak in public. Because what happens when you're speaking in public is that conversation you're having with 1 or 2 people now becomes a conversation with 1,000 people or 2,000 people, right? So public speaking is not public speaking. Public speaking is public conversation. It's just you having a conversation with more people, right? So and usually, I'll be very, very honest with you, insider gist now, every time you put me in a room with more than 2 or 3 people, right, I am only speaking to 1 or 2 or 3 at best people. And I'll explain. How do I mean? So when I get into a room filled like with 100 people or 500 or, no matter the number, I have my anchor points, right? I usually have my anchor points. I would find 2 or 3 or 5 people in the audience. As I'm speaking, I'm looking, I'm trying to connect with my eyes. Once I find 2 or 3 people who I feel like are vibing with me, till the end of that speech, those are the people I'm talking to. So whether you are eating granola or you are frowning about your Indomie that got burnt in the morning before you came, or you're thinking about your boyfriend that did not reply your message, those things does not concern me because I'm not seeing you. I'm only seeing like 5 people who are nodding their heads and are connecting with me. So when I'm smiling, I'm not smiling at you who is frowning. I'm smiling at that one person who is smiling back at me. And you can ask any public speaker, that is the truth. That is why it is very difficult for people to speak effectively. Usually say do that, so just enter the room and pretend like there's nobody in front of you. But that is not communication, because communication requires feedback, right? So the first thing I did when I started this session was ask you guys to speak at me, because it's awkward. It's going to be very awkward if we're not. Now we're having conversation. I know Janet, right? I know Janet. I know Peace. I think I remember Raji from yesterday. I remember Michael. There are some names that when I see now, I can remember from yesterday, right? Because there was a conversation. I didn't come to speak. I came to have a conversation with you guys, right? If you treat communication like that, you would never struggle to speak publicly. In fact, so I'll tell you this real life story. When I participated in the Mandela Washington Fellowship, it was about 25 of us in one room. And we had this public speaking. You have a drum in front of you. You know how smooth and tight drums look like, right? If you drop anything on the drum, it will make a sound and all of that. I would usually come and look for a pin to puncture it so it becomes softer. That's my trick. So when I stand in front of the audience, the first thing I want, because I know, look, I'll tell you the truth. Every time you stand in front of people to speak, you're not the only one who is scared. The audience is equally scared, right? They are scared. They are worried about what you're going to say. There's an uneasiness with them. Like, is he going to do something? Is he going to misbehave? Is he going to, what he's about to say, will it make sense? Will it not make sense? See, if you get this thing I'm about to tell you, you will hack any interview. You will hack anything that has to do with talking to human beings in this life. You will never struggle with people again. Trust me. Every time you get into a room, both you who is the speaker and the people who are listening to you they are all apprehensive. So the best thing you can do as a speaker is to come into the room and immediately diffuse that tension. Number one trick to diffuse tension when you get into any room is to smile. Don't say anything, just smile. The first question is, how dare you smile? Are you not tensed? Right? So I usually tell people, smile. Smile, and if you're struggling, clear your throat. Right? So number one rule is what? Smile. That thing works all the time. It works 99% out of 9. That mathematics doesn't make sense, but I failed. I had F9 in math, so don't blame me. It's not my problem. I didn't create mathematics. Some very jobless people somewhere created mathematics and decided to be stressing all of us and made people like me have F9. So I wrote it like 4 times before I had C6. So it's none of my business. Whatever happens with mathematics doesn't concern me. And it shouldn't concern you too if you're a good person. But if you like mathematics, you're a bad person. You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. Very bad person.
I think
Now,
agree with you.
Back to my point. I was saying 99% out of 9 times, when try to make that mathematics work, you will fail. That is F9 mathematics anyway. So I'm not disappointing, right? If I struggle with my English, you can arrest me, then I'm pretending. But if I fail maths, I'm just living up to expectation. So I'm trying to say that 99% of the time, smiling when you step on the stage works. It works because people don't smile when they are tensed. People only smile when they are relaxed, right? So, and smiling tells your head, tells your brain, tells your muscles, we are fine. The world is not ending. Calm down, right? And then Because the world is an energy thing. Everything in life happens at a very quantum physical energy level, right? So when you smile, you're releasing good hormones, you're releasing good energy to the people who want to interview you. So I remember my current job, there was this lady who was on the panel, the last interview, and she was not just smiling. I can remember her very well. She's the Australia lead. I know her at the face. She wasn't smiling. She was looking very like, this boy, this guy, who are you? And I was looking at her. And every time she asked me a question, I would smile and then answer her question. And I knew she was really like, bro, we're asking you very difficult questions. Are you not supposed to be? No, I'm not. You're not going to do that. Right? So interviews, presentations, whatever. Look, even when they ask you the most difficult question in the world, smile first. All right. So that is how you relax. That is how you calm down. Number 2 is clear your throat if you want to. Please don't overdo this one. This one can put you in trouble. But in just in a situation where you feel like, I'm not sure what my voice sounds like. Yeah. Now it's Zoom. So you can just say, hello, everyone. Can you hear me? That hello, everyone. Can you hear me is testing, voice testing. So you're testing because sometimes when it comes to public presentation, you would hold microphone and you will hear another person. So just to be sure that your voice is still your voice, you could just say, hello, can you hear me? Right? Just to help you relax. So that's those are things you can do to help yourself calm down. And feedback. I've talked about feedback. It's very, very important to get feedback. Now, when you're debating, you don't know, the feedback may not come. Your battery is low. Oh, well, you're in Nigeria, so it's expected that your battery should be low. But how not to allow your village people to win is that you have backup. So right now, you're fighting against the forces of everything. So I can advise you, when you're doing something like this for a good cause, it's allowed to snatch your roommate's battery or power bank. Tell them to sue you afterwards if they are not happy with you. So I'm just advising you to go grab someone's power bank and use. You have the liberty to do that. If they have anything against you, tell them to meet you in court, but don't show up there, right? So back to feedback. Feedback is important, but how do you get feedback? Yeah, no grief for anybody. How do you get feedback, right? I am forcing you guys to give me feedback in a way, because I know it is naturally tempting that when you meet speakers, you just want to listen, but then that is not a conversation. So you have to get feedback. And when you're debating, it's the judges that you're speaking to, right? And you're speaking to your opponents. So you have to keep your eyes open, especially when their cameras are turned on. Watch their eyes. Watch the subtle thing they did. Listen, people nod when they agree with you 100% of the time, right? So you want to pay attention to those kind of clues and whether you should. So when you're speaking and it's in a room full of people, right? Because it's virtual now, I think I would advise you, right? And let them listen. And, subtle cues like, yeah, thumb up or nodding is to tell you you're doing well, keep going, right? But whether we get feedback, always get feedback. Always look for feedback. Don't be that kind of person who just walks into the room and gets lost. Always try to get feedback, elicit feedback. And how do you get feedback? You get feedback by paying attention to people's body language, right? So back in the days of streets, ghetto debating, the gangster one, where you can see your opponent can see you full body. There are things you do that shows that you're interested, right? There are things you do that shows that you're competent. So even though I'm speaking virtually, you can see my hands, right? Because conversations and communication is a body and mouth thing. It's not just your mouth speaking. So use your hand. Use your hands. Even if it's virtual, let people see your hands, right? And see communication as acting, right? So when I want to make a punch or when I want to make a strong point, can you see what I'm doing? When I want to make a strong point, that is acting drama to my speaking. Do you understand? So Those kind of things. Now, if you're tensed, this also helps you to manage stress. So let's say you are jittery or you're feeling, I really what I have to say today. Number one, number two, number three. So when I say number one, I'm also saying one and I'm demonstrating one. That is anchoring my speech. One of the things I noticed with gesticulations is that there are people who just come and their hands are flying everywhere. I don't know how many of you have seen the video of that boy that was debating, that primary school boy. There was too much gesticulations, but he's a child, so you don't understand. Don't debate like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton. Go and watch their speeches. You notice that these people don't move too much, right? So people usually ask me, should I move? And they usually talk about their pastors, and I say, look, leave your pastors out. The wrong, see, don't even start with pastors. Once it comes to public speaking, leave pastors out. Just leave your pastors. They are in a different category. Just leave them. Deal with. But when it comes to the art and science of public speaking, pay attention to Barack Obama, pay attention to Martin Luther King Jr., pay attention to Sarah, forgotten her name, but pay attention to people like Mia Love. Mia Love she's a Republican House of Rep member previously in the US. Pay attention to people like AOC, Alexandra Ocasio. She's currently a member of the House of Rep in the US. Powerful lady. Pay attention to people like Michelle Obama, but pay attention very well to Alexandra Ocasio, because I have said it repeatedly that the only thing that can stop that young lady from being the president of America is herself, right? There's something I call pile diving. When she's speaking, this lady understands how to do pile diving, and pile diving is what you do when, and Obama does it well also, is building the speech like a cascade. And at some point, you just get to that point when you're just like, bam, 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 bam. You're just going. Like, she does that thing very well, where you hear her going, she's having conversational and then she just switches to this mode of something like, I'm trying to find out one of it, where she says something like, and 6 days won't make a week, and 7 days won't make a month, and 5 days won't do this. Now, she doesn't say one, she says like 10 of it, right? So it's like dropping those things one after the other, right? And it's like build up to the end of a speech, and then she just, right? So another thing I think that there's an Oxford debate I saw that is incredible. It's one of the most powerful things you can, and listen, public speaking is about learning, it's an art, so you have to watch people, right? There was this thing I saw someone do at an Oxford debate, and it was incredible. I have never seen debating like that up until that point. And I'm grateful I didn't meet anybody who could do that when I was debating, up until I went for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and I met a guy who could do that stuff. And the only good thing about that guy was he could do that very well, but he doesn't know how to hold a speech from beginning to end. And I can do that, right? But he did something like this to say that, he said something like, 500 people in one week. No, he's like 500 plane crash in 1 week, 6,000 casualties, 1,000 lives. That is 2 people per second. That is like 10 people per second, 1 person dying at the blink of my eye. Now that's just me trying to paraphrase what I'm trying to say, but it is making statistics very real. So it's trying to help you understand that 1,000 people. So when we say 1,000 people have died to insurgents in Nigeria, And you now want everybody to understand what 1,000 people means. So you're trying to say that 1,000 people is 3 Boeing 737 crashing every minute. Just some very mental play of pictures and words and numbers, trying to make it very real. That is you being creative. Wait, another person would have come to say 1,000 people die every day, but you came in and say 1,000 plane crash. That is the equivalent of 6 children, 3 mothers, something like that, right? I would probably look for the link to that stuff and share it with with Ruth later. I'm not sure, I'm not promising. I hope I can find it. But those are word plays that you do that makes your pictures very real, right, to people. And as a speaker, you have to sometimes learn how to steal from your opponent. So I'll give you an instance. When that guy, there's something called what's that thing now? There's this Ignite talk. So if you follow the Mandela Washington Fellowship, there's the Ignite talk, and usually it is one person from each of the institutes that gets to give the Ignite talk. And so it will be all of you would compete for that one slot and everything. So, and you'd have like mock presentations. So during the entire mock presentations, I looked at all my opponents, right? And I weighed them. I looked at all their strong points and I picked everything and made a marshmallow in my own speech, such that whatever you had as a strength is in my speech, right? So those are things that I do as a debater also. If I notice that, so one of the things that makes your speech successful is variety. Because this is like a lecture, I cannot particularly speak as, so I'm delivering a talk. It's different from speech making and it's different from debating. If I was delivering a speech, you would hear me say something like, it's a very beautiful morning. The rains have come pouring down. The skies are pretty bright. The sun is somewhere shy, not knowing what to do about itself. We hope to see it tomorrow, but then let's focus on today. It's a good day to be alive. The dollar is 1,700. And despite the realities of the challenges that we face in today's Nigeria, there are still things that we can be hopeful for. And at this point, I know some of you are wondering if I have lost my mind. So I'd pause for a minute and let me ask you, when has life ever been easy? Never. Life has never been easy. We have only adapted, adjusted, and restructured our own arrangements of life to meet the vicissitudes of the time that we live in. Things never get easy. Don't let anybody deceive you. It may get better, but easy is not the word. You were never designed to do soft things. You were designed to do difficult things, because the scale of the problem that you confront determines the outcome or the size of the battle or the size of your trophy. And if you want the best things in life, if you want the juiciest things in life, then you have to be willing to go for the big battles. So why are you complaining that life is hard? It is strong times that make strong people. It is difficult times that make great people. The biggest, the best, the best version of human society, the best people that our civilization has ever produced came out of some of the most difficult times. So don't let them tell you that easy times are the best. Hard times are the best times. And if this time is the hard time, then we should thank our stars. We're living in one of the most difficult times in history. I hope that makes sense. Now that's a speech, right? That's a speech. And you notice that there was speed, right? There was a time when I was trying to speak very fast, right? Because I want you to follow me. And there were times when I paused because I needed to think of my next step, right? That is speech making. Yes, it is impromptu, right? But I have been practicing impromptu speaking for a very long time, right? And I'll usually have an exercise where I say, give me a topic and let me speak about it. Now, I am not speaking on the difference between impromptu speech and prepared speech is impromptu speech is speak about. Say anything you know about the topic in front of you. That is impromptu speech. So even if you don't have an idea, right? If they tell you, speak about Somalia, and you wake up and say Somalia, it sounds like Malian, even though I'm not a Malian. But the closest recollection I have of Somalia is Naramali because it sounds like it rhymes. I don't particularly know whether Somalia is a place or a thing. I don't particularly know whether it is a destination, a tourist destination, a place I should go to, or a drink I should buy, or a clothes I should wear, or a pendant I should put on my neck. I am not even sure what exactly Somalia is. But you've asked me to speak about Somalia. So I am trying to think about Somalia. Maybe after this time, I would go Google Somalia and I would come back to talking as a resource person, someone who is knowledgeable about Somalia. But the best I can give you right now is that Somalia sounds like Malian. Well, I'm not sure if it's a place or thing, like they taught us in basic English, animal, place, or thing. But it just sounds like a noun. So the only advice I would give you is when you want to write Somalia, please make it a capital letter. At least the first two letters should be capitalized so that you don't get jailed by my English teacher. That's the best I can say about Somalia. Thank you. I have spoken about Somalia. I have not said anything that you can kill me for about Somalia. You told me to speak about Somalia. I don't know about it. Right? That is speaking about. Do you understand? That is speaking about. It is just going around in cycle about something, right? But when you've had time to prepare a speech, you're speaking on, right? You're speaking on that thing. And when you're speaking on that thing as a speech maker, you have a start point, you have an end point, right? So you come and you deliver. And in delivering, there has to be pace. You should not, your pitch should, they used to say this thing and I completely agree. The day the map, this thing, medical students are not here, so we can say anything, they will not hear us. Whatever that thing is in the hospital that used to beep and used to go up and down, right? Is that should go up and down like that. So what I mean is in terms of speed, there should be a time when you're speaking really fast, and there should be a time when you're speaking really slow. There should be a time when you're speaking really loud, and there should be a time when your voice drops. And your voice drops so that you can draw people in, right? And follow this thing with your hand, right? The hands and gestures should match what you're saying, right? So don't just throw your hands around like that or be dancing around because you could distract people. So I've talked about inflections. Inflections are the up and down of your voice. Pacing is the speed of what you're saying. You slow down, you move quick, and all of that. And what else do I want to say? Elocution. Elocution generally talks about your diction. Don't say shush, right? I will not forgive you. I personally have a rule, right? And it might be biased, but this is what I used to tell people. I don't forgive anyone who has an accent. Trust me, I don't. You know why? My mom is Igbo, my dad is Yoruba. I grew up in the north. And let me tell you how come I don't have the S and the she, even so sometimes I sleep. I remember when I was a young child, one of those days, I used to come back from school and there was this new sawmill that was called Sahara Sawmill. Yeah. But the people who spelled the Sahara as SH, which is she. It's a she sound because it's SH, right? It was the printer's error. So what they wrote was Shara Sawmill, right? So I got home that day, 2 times. I got home and I met my mom and I said, oh, so when we were coming back, we got to Shara Sawmill. And the first day she told me I said, oh, Sahara. Okay. The next time I was coming back, it was a random casual conversation. And I just said, oh, so when we now got to Shara, bro, ladies and gentlemen, you will not believe what happened next. But what happened next, till today, I have not forgotten. For like 5 minutes, I was not sure where I was. I wasn't even sure what was going on. Because the slap that landed, ouch, that slap fixed my diction for life till today. The only thing I had next was, what is Sahara? I found you, it is Sahara. So that was all the people laughing should leave this.
That was
Remove. Now, that was how I was delivered from S and she and all those things till today. So I have realized that discipline is what delivers you from poor accents, not anything else. So if someone slaps you every time you murder S, or let's say you're an Igbo person who might be tempted to say, let's say you are from Anambra, where R is a problem. You understand? And you're tempted to say progress instead of progress. If you get a slap for every time you do that, you would say progress properly. Right? You would say it properly. So I used to tell people, I don't forgive people who have accents because my mom did not forgive me, even though it was not my fault. I was only pronouncing what I saw. She did not assume. She slapped me. That slap, there are a few things you don't forget in your life. That slap is one of the ones I will never forget because it set me straight for life. So, origin story, how I got delivered from S and she, that's my own. So I tell young people, don't accept the limitations of your environment. Fight, because you're not the only person from that geography. And there are people within that geography who are battling with the same limitations and have refused to give in. So fight. I am telling you the truth. I'm happy I'm meeting some of you at this point. I meet people. I remember there was this young lady who gave this very speech and was talking about, oh, my accent is the struggle of my ancestry. Oh, God, you are not the only one that have ancestry. Or one who is fighting with this thing. So every time you hear my story, see, before you guys go subscribe to all those BS that people do in the name of being woke and all those struggles, freedom, discrimination, listen, let me tell you the truth about life. As long as there is one human being who has faced the challenges you have faced and has fought it and has won and has become better, you have no excuse as a human being not to get better. You have no excuse. You have no excuse. You can wake up and decide that you want to make that thing an emblem. You can decide that you want to go anti-society and wear that weakness as a badge and make it a thing. But trust me, as long as there are people who have faced the same struggles and have overcome it, I and people like me would pay attention. Janet Smith would pay attention to people who have won, right? Everyone has a sorry story. Janet, can you mute yourself? Everyone has a story. Everyone has like I said, everyone has a sorry story, right? Everyone has a sad story to tell. You're not the only one who came out from a poor home. You're not the only one who grew up in a village. Do you want me to send you pictures of the village where I grew up? Do you know how many people sincerely look at me when I speak English and say, where did you grow up? And they ask me, how come? How? No, it's not possible. But if we all want to talk about the villages where we grew up and the limitations of our geography, we'll still be there. would still be in that village, would still be in those places making excuses for ourselves. But the reason why we're here, the reason why we fought everything that we fought to get here is because we believe that our background should not be an excuse to keep our back on the ground. We fought. We didn't give excuses. Trust me, folks, the energy you use to make excuses, you can use it to make yourself a better person.
Exactly.
So go fight. Fight the accent. Think about the opportunities that wait for you if you can communicate better. And let me be very honest with you. When you speak to native English speakers and they struggle to listen to you, they are not being hypocritical. They actually struggle. So the question is, if the $1 million opportunity is on the other side of a better accent, would you stay on the other side in poverty? If the person who is going to give you the opportunity that will change your life and that of your lineage forever is a Caucasian man who has never left the borders of America, who you need to speak to, right? And you need to speak clearly to, who has never had someone from Africa, he's never listened to you. If you come and you start saying progress as plugless, he's going to just stay there looking at you like you're a fool. Would you not fight that accent to be able to get that thing and make life better for your people? What would your people want? To come back and tell them you are the champion of a local accent, or you've gone there, you've got a better opportunity to come make life better for them? So I'm saying, as young people, fight, improve yourself. Don't give excuses. Stand up, discipline yourself. Practice until you know it like you know your fingers, right? Public speaking may be challenging, but I'm telling you today to fight. Practice. Practice. Some of you will struggle with your body size. You may not be that lanky, intimidating, tall person. Well, I am not. And let me tell you what happens when I take the mic. Let me tell you what happens. Real life story. 2017, I went for the Yali RLC in Accra, Ghana, and something happened. I'll just tell you two stories and I'll close. So the facilitator was coming from, I think, Kumasi to Accra, and they were delayed. So the program handlers didn't know what to do. We were already in the hall. They had done all the introductions, but they still had like 30 minutes and they didn't know what to do with it. So they then said, okay, is there anyone here who could volunteer to just moderate things? And trust me, my hand was the first one in the air. So the man said, oh, I saw his hand first. And so they gave me the microphone. True life story. What happened afterwards is history, because I pretty much shocked everyone into silence. I didn't give a speech. I just started a conversation. We were chatting. Everyone was laughing. We played. To me after and said, when you took the mic, I felt bad. I felt sorry for you. And I was scared what was going to happen to you. And I asked myself, what has he done to himself? We are over 100 in this room. Why is this lanky, tiny thing carrying the mic? I said, oh, you don't know. That's the best thing that happens before when I take the mic. People see me walk on stage and they're like, they're feeling sorry. So what happens is this. The bar has been dropped. Do you understand? The bar has naturally been dropped. They are not expecting anything because they feel like he's not. So they really, really lowered the bar. So you've given me very easy steps to stand on. So I would come and then blow you to the heavens and leave you wondering where you are by the time I am done. So the picture you have at the beginning and at the end of the speech is so out of phase that you don't even know what has hit you for 30 minutes. Right. So I am telling you that whatever you call a challenge, whatever you call a disadvantage that you have is an advantage in disguise. Use it. Use it. And this happens everywhere I go. I appear on stage and people are like, what is he going to say? Who put him there? Who gave him the mic? And they gave me the mic. They will usually give me the mic. And I'll start. And when I finish, they're not sure whether it was a tornado that hit them or it was an earthquake that happened. But they are definitely not what they used to be. Right? So I am just saying this very personal example. Whatever it is you can think of as an excuse or as a disadvantage, right? Flip it. It's an asset. Change it. Pay attention to that thing. I remember the last time, one of the last speaking engagements I had last year was so crazy that I came late. You know, upon everything that was happening around me, I came late. I was the last person to come into the room. The panelists were already on stage. Everything was already set. And to imagine, they even delayed everybody for me. Oh, they delayed the session for like 15 minutes. I then came late, walked into the stage in the middle of the session. And when I walked in, they were all like, hello, like, now this guy with the wait for since. So I sat down. They asked me a question. I answered. But somewhere inside of me, I felt like, Dan, you have not shown these people your color. So I waited. I waited until the last question that the moderator asked. And I took the mic. I said, give me the mic. So I did this very long talk for like 1 minute, 30 seconds. And by the time I finished, nobody begged them to clap. Nobody said, stand up. There were people standing, there were people clapping, but everyone knew, he came. Right. And so at the end of the speech, someone came and met me and said, when you came in, I was wondering, now him we they wait for. I said, very good. I have not disgraced my lineage and my generation. Lived up to expectation. Brothers and sisters, every time you stand up to take the mic, you're representing an entire generation. Don't spoil your family name. Speak well. Speak well. Leave an impression. Let people remember you. Even if you don't win, but don't let people ever forget that they met you. It's not always about winning. It's all about impression. You may not win, but make sure you leave an impression. I have gone to speak in places where we did not win, but they never forgot us. They remembered us till tomorrow. And what that does is this. Let's say you're from Lautech, where I graduated, and you go somewhere and you speak well, and you didn't win. That simple exercise can change the narrative for everyone who graduates from that school. It could mean the difference between people getting scholarships or not, right? So speak well. Speak well. Trust me, it would open doors for you. I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that every single thing I have achieved in my life that is meaningful has been tied to my ability to speak well. Speak well. Even if you don't win debates, you will win in life, right? So beyond debating, speak well, because speakers are winners. Speakers are leaders. Listen, they would give opportunities to people who can speak, not to people who are present, right? So beyond being present, polish your communication skill. Make up your mind that you're going to be the best version of yourself when it comes to communications. The only reason why you subscribed for this debate and for this bootcamp is because you have interest. So you are not like the random person, right? You have interest. So I am telling you the truth. If you've shown interest and you've stayed up to this point, then there is no reason under God why you shouldn't do it well. Do it well. Use YouTube. It's easier now. Back in the days, I used to go to school when I was in uni and stay all through the midnight to download one video. I used to go back. I used to do night browsing to download TED Talks. I had TED Talks. I can't tell you how many TED Talks I have listened to in my life. I can't tell you how many speeches I have listened to in my life. So when you see me being able to speak or articulate thoughts at the snap of my finger, it is because I have put in hours into this thing. I have practiced. I spent the early part of my teenage and the late part of my teenage and early 20s just learning how to speak. Just learning how to speak English. I told my friend a couple of years ago, I said, listen, you see this English I am speaking? They will pay me millions for this thing that I'm doing. Just watch. And I'm not done. I am not done. I'm just starting, right? I understand this thing very well. So I'm telling you guys, understand it. If you understand communication, you will unlock anything. You will be, see, if you call me for an interview, it is too late. If you don't meet me, it's fine. No? But once you call me for a one-on-one interview for any opportunity, it is too late. It is already too late. I spoke so much at my Mandela Washington interview that at a point, one of the guys looked at me and said, "Are you a humble person?" I knew where that question was coming from. I knew it was coming because, listen, even for things I didn't have idea about, I would open my mouth and say something confidently. So even when you're saying rubbish, say it well.
Confidently.
Say it well. Be articulate in the rubbish. Say it. One of the reasons why I hate the current spokesperson for this administration, who was the spokesperson for Buhari, that fair guy, what's his name? I can't forget his name. Is the fact that guy is a devil. He understands communication. He speaks well, even when he's lying. Speak well. You would get your way through anything in life. Anything. So beyond debating, decide that you would speak well. If you're a lawyer, be the nemesis in the courtroom. Be that guy that people don't want to meet. Not like you're a bully. I don't bully people. In fact, I love meeting bullies. I love meeting those ones that want to come and do like this and feel like, I love meeting them. And when I meet those people, so I have several tactics. I know when to walk into the room as the loudest person. And what annoys a lot of people, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, is know your style. What annoys bullies when I meet them is that when they come into the room, they want to use their loud energy to, suppress everything. But my genius is in my calmness, right? And the fact that I can say a lot of very confident and powerful things while maintaining a very calm disposition. So while the bully or the person in the room who is trying to verbally bully everyone is going everywhere, I am calmly distilling heavier doses of wisdom than the noise is making. So the person is here creating a lot of heat, trying to make a lot of noise and creating a lot of fuse. And I am here holding my mic and saying a lot with less energy and less drama, with a lot of intensity. So know your style. That is my style. Yours is so much for today. I hope you've had fun.
Please, can we have a round of applause first before we get into the question? This was mind-blowing. This was phenomenal. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. You were not just teaching about public speaking. You were the public speaking. Thank you. All right, so questions quickly. Let's have the questions as you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Janet. Right. Okay.
Please, I have 2 questions. Yes, Jenny. My first question is about the first point, smiling. And what I want to ask is, in a situation like a formal debate, like a law debate where it's almost like a court setting, or rather it's a law question, would you advise that we still get up there and smile in that situation? Then the second one is about the feedback, and question is actually 2 in 1. I don't know how it is in other places, but in my school, during legal debates, the debaters are at the front row, the first row, then the court is behind and the judge is in front. So the debaters are facing the judge directly and they do not have an access to the audience. In that way, the people are not allowed to shout, they are not allowed to say anything, everywhere is just quiet. How do you get feedback from the audience? Secondly, the judge. The judges are neutral, so they try very much not to give any facial reaction or anything that would be able to let you know what they're thinking. How do you manage that? How do you get feedback from your audience and the judge when they are trying to withhold every feedback from you?
Fantastic question. Yes, should I smile every time I take the stage? No, you shouldn't. But there are times when, so imagine, very practical example was, it's about disruptive thinking, right? It's about disruptive thinking because speaking is acting, and you need to think of it that way. And you need to approach it from this aspect of doing what is unexpected of you. So let's assume your opponents have delivered a very, very strong argument, and everywhere is just tense and everyone is looking, and you just smile and you stand up, and the first thing you do is smile. The first thing that tells people is you're relaxed. One. The first thing that also tells the audience is that you've got something coming. So it's more or less like trying to shift the energy. And there are times when someone has said something and everybody's, let's say, there are times when I would literally stand up in a debate with a very strong eyes, very strong. You'll be wondering why my hand is, but I want to talk about something that is annoying me. Right? Let's say my opponent has just finished making some argument and I stand up, very strong eyes, like really strong, and I start talking. The audience immediately gets the feel that my heart is into this thing, and I'm not playing, or I'm trying to communicate. Okay, go and watch The Great Debaters. That's the best example I can give you. That last debate scene, yeah, when that young guy stood up to give that the closing debate, you could see he was not smiling, and there was a reason. The reason became apparent at the end of that presentation when he said civil disobedience or physical assault or something. You'd better pray I choose the latter. And he walked away, not smiling, right? You get a sense. So smiling is, just see this thing as acting. Acting. It is the drama element of speaking. There's usually drama in speaking. There's drama. So I was thinking about my presentation at the MWF, right? And I was asked to make a presentation, and I stood up. Everyone started to make a speech. But when I stood up, I said, I can't even remember what I said, but I started like we were having a conversation normally. I just said, the first thing is, now that's not how you start is a normal, right? Or you just say, well, I know you all are expecting me to sound like this, but I'm not. So it's about disruptive thinking. Honestly, I'm not trying to put ideas in your head. I'm just trying to say, be disruptive. Don't be that regular guy that is predictable, right? So if you come smiling every day, people think that you are just a smiley, right? But if you smile on day one, and on day two, you're just stone cold, and you stand up till the end of your speech, and everything is just one way, then it's variety. It's about, we said something yesterday that it's about thinking on your feet, right? But there are things you do just to diffuse the energy in the room. So that is why the smiling comes in. It is reacting in the very unorthodox ways in different instances, right? And now to how to get feedback. Everybody leaks. Everybody leaks. Judges, we do our best not to show you that we're feeling you. But you know what? Go on you. I made my decision on you. And that's the dangerous thing. So I'll tell you the truth. The most important part of your speech is the first 2 minutes and the last 1 minute. Right? But the good thing about great speaking is that if you're able to keep your judge for the first 2 minutes, they will listen to you for the last 3 if you're speaking for 5 minutes. So usually do your best work in the first 2 and the last one. But for feedback, if there are audience in the room, then that is where you use your ears. You now have to rely on the auditory feedback you're getting from them, right? And who says you cannot turn back and face the audience? What if in the middle of your speech, you insert a clause where you say, and my audience agrees with me, which is a scope. So you turn your entire body and face the audience and say, and my audience agree with me, don't you? And you turn back and face the judges again. You've quickly turned back to get feedback and face the judges. That's why I say it's always an element of drama. As long as there is no 10 commandments of thou shalt not look at the audience, right? Then create anchor points in the speech where you can say something to the audience. So you look back and then face the judges again. It's just creativity and ingenuity, right? You are always understand that you are the one making the speech. Now you they talk, right? So whatever you want to do, make sure it is consistent. Don't face the audience. Don't just face the audience casually. Use your speech to turn to the audience by saying something like, and I beg this audience to agree, or I would like to implore this audience. You don't implore the audience by backing them. You implore the audience by facing them. So it's stylishly, things you do to just get your way. So you have to be really smart and shrewd. Be smart and be shrewd. Thank you.
Okay, there's another question. So you're having a Daniel effect on people's batteries. Did you see the question?
Oh my God, interesting. Yeah, I forgot everything. So, my phone is currently 5% and I'm still here. Daniel efforts. Okay, nice one. Nice one. Thank you. Interesting. So what do you do not to forget your speech? If your mind, it's okay to forget your speech. I have forgotten my speech before. But you can forget your speech and still deliver a successful speech. You know how? If you know the topic very well and you forget your speech, what you would do is, whatever it is, see, the number one rule when you forget your speech is don't try to remember your speech. It's already, just leave it. Go on and say something else. Right? Or go back to the last thing you remember in that speech and repeat it, right? So that your brain can reboot and more open every other thing you've forgotten. But usually don't struggle. If you've forgotten your speech and it's towards the end, just find the closing and close and leave, right? I usually tell people not to cram their speech, cram your points, because you can make your points anyhow. Don't memorize your speech, memorize your talking points, and then speak to those points in several ways. How do you manage feedbacks that are not encouraging? Feedbacks are information that you use to improve. So if you're speaking and the feedback is not encouraging, it could mean that your oral delivery is poor, right? Do you understand? It could mean that you're talking out of point or you're not really making sense. And that is why you must not be that kind of person who is fixated on what they wrote or what they prepared. Because the ability to flip what's doing at the spur of the moment with the feedback you're getting, it would largely be dependent on your competence. Right, so what I would advise you to do is practice, prepare, and for every speech have 3 versions, which is really difficult. But at least understand the point and understand the basics. And when you cannot change your speech, change your approach of presentation. You can't change your speech, you've prepared the speech, but you feel like people are not feeling you. So maybe it's because you're monotonous, or maybe because your body language is showing fear, right? So put in some more energy, or it might just be that you're shouting and people are like, why is he shouting, right? So just modulate and then check for feedback quickly, right? How do you overcome fear while speaking? Focus on your speech. You can't do two things at the same time. The reason why you're afraid while speaking is that you're focusing on your fear, and that is pride. You're not the most important thing in the room. The most important people in the room are your audience. So focus on your audience and your speech. Self-consciousness is what causes fear while you're speaking. Focus on your speech. Put your heart into that speech. Look, communication is like fire, right? If you focus on what you're saying, have you been in a situation where you're trying to say something and someone's interrupting you and you're saying something like, let me finish, let me finish, let me finish. No, let me finish. At that point, you're so conscious of what you want to say that you're not agreeing with anybody that wants to stop you. So bury your heart, your spirit, soul, and body in that speech, right? Forget about what is happening around you. Just focus on that speech. And the fear will dissipate. It's the same thing. Any other questions?
Okay, please, a round of applause for Daniel. Virtual applause. Thank you so much. This has been so beautiful. Thank you for doing justice to the question. Please let your virtual applause just keep rolling. Yeah. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. I'm sure we do not have any other gray area respect to public speaking, respect to persuasive communication. So I'm looking forward to us bringing in our A games. You know, the proof that you grasp something is in the practice. So we look forward to excellence in this year's round of debates competitions. So, like he said, he's someone that has practiced over time. You're seeing the end product, but if you inquire further, you will know that this is a product of practice. So the ball is in our court to go and practice these things that we've learned this evening in this session. Please prepare and expect more. It can only get better in this bootcamp. So he said, take care, everyone. Keep practicing and never settle. You know, he talked about accents. See, please, it's something that we need to. I know some of us that had accents last year. I believe you just did some self-examination. So practice it. And then for the lady that talked about, addressing your audience, even in muting, even in court, there's some, I see SANs that do that, and it's so brilliant that they are talking to the court. They stand sideways, as in the face the side. So you see them sometimes, they'll say, Learned Counsel, I hope you agree with what I'm saying. As in they are pulling their co-counsel and even the audience, and they'll still turn back to the court. I don't know if you've seen that before in court. So just as Daniel, don't be monotonous, just be dynamic. All right, it's 4:30 now, and we're going to draw the curtain on today's session. Once again, thank you, Daniel, our phenomenal facilitator for today, and we also appreciate Barrister Obed for the justice he did to his own session too. Thank you so much for being part of this. See us tomorrow.